Hello my fellow noobs and newbies to the channel. So lately I've been thinking a lot about the drawing fundamentals, and one of the things that helped me out a lot is learning how to draw using anatomy and simple shapes. And I've touched on this on previous videos, but a lot of the strong opinions are that simple shapes are what help them to bring their artwork to life, or like allow them to transfer their imagination to paper. So for example, like if I draw, and you know, I'm just trying to draw sparingly here, it's going to be kind of scratchy, but if I want to draw, let's say, a human face here, I can draw the nose, or actually the nose is probably a little bit lower. This is probably where the eyes would be, and then this is where the nose would be, and then this would probably be the mouth, just like right about here. But you can see that by using this circle and dividing it into parts, this is probably what you've seen in most videos, and they say, oh, you're going to be able to learn how to draw any character with just by learning these simple shapes and dividing them into whatever equal parts that you want to have it. But to be honest, this really didn't help me, which is why I decided to learn anatomy. And there, of course, there is an argument that, you know, that you have to learn the basic simple shapes of circles, triangles, etc., perspective, before you can learn anatomy. And I'm just here to tell you that there is really no right or wrong answer. It's really just depends on what makes you feel more comfortable in the long run. So, you know, my character here, and mind you, this is a really ugly character right now, but he is on his way to becoming a better character. But I want to show you how you can get to a better level of drawing, at least slightly better than where you were before. And for me, I'm also still learning, so I hope you can learn with me and join me on this journey, so that way we can, you know, just be artists together. Or I recently learned the phrase art moots is what noob artists, I guess, online call themselves. And this is just a really ugly. He looked like he was in a deer in headlights. Yeah, that's better. Maybe I can add this on my next video or something. But yeah, so I want to show you some techniques, at least some of the ones that I learned that helped me get to a better position in my, I guess if you want to call it, art career. So before I even began, oops, I'm so sorry, I just hit the camera. The camera's right in front of me, by the way. So the way that I got here is, of course, by studying anatomy, but some of the shapes like circles, triangles, and other than that, I will say it is very helpful. So I'm hoping to I'm basically going out of my comfort zone and showing myself, and showing you all, of course, how or where to start, you know, your artistic journey. So I'm going to draw some circles here, and I do recommend if you're going this route to start with circles, because circles are what can help you define like the shapes of the human face. It's also going to help you define like the eyes. It's also going to help you define other things like joints in the body whenever you're doing like let's say if I wanted to extend my character's body. A common practice is we use circles to define other parts. Like these two circles will probably be the shoulders, and we'll do like a little square, or I don't know if this is a square really, it's more like a cylinder to be honest. But you would do more little circles. These would probably be the elbows, and then extend from there. So that's why I'm saying that circles, spheres in particular, are very important to learn if you're wanting to learn shapes or go the shape route. So you also want to learn how to shade these circles, which shading is the bane of my existence right now, but I have learned some methods of shading, and the more professional artists on this channel, please feel free to chime in here, because this is again the bane of my existence. And I'm gonna switch pencils actually, because I think for shading it's usually better to use a darker color like a 4B or maybe a 6B. I think I have a 6B, but I'm kind of lazy and don't really want to grab that right now. But my understanding is, let's see if we draw this circle, right? Let's just pretend this is like a ball, and let's pretend that the light source is right here, and so this is a little light bulb or the sun, whatever, and it's shining down in this direction. So the light is going to be shining onto this surface here, and starting from here we're going to shade all the way down, and then there is going to be another shadow right about here. And I might remind you, for line art, any surface that is basically being shined on to, I guess, if that's the right term, has a thinner line. So I shouldn't have used the 4B on there, but anyways, I just readjusted it with the HB. So going back to 4B, so normally they shade somewhere here, and because the light is shining on here, this surface, the middle area, is going to be darker. And then another explanation is that because the sun is bouncing here, and there is going to be light, residual light that bounces off the surface. Like let's pretend this is the floor. This is the floor, right? So the light shines here, and then it's gonna bounce back in this direction. So this area is actually gonna be lighter, and which is the end of the ball here. So really, you're shading this part, but the darker part is gonna be really in the middle. So as you can see, it'll get a little bit darker in the middle area. And pro artists, please chime in again whenever you'd like, and let me know what let us know, let the noob community know what techniques you use to enhance, better light. Because you can definitely see, I can see myself here that this area is just kind of like not too par. But I'm gonna use a blending stick because blending sticks may help. Or at least I think it would help. But it just, I mean, the blending stick just makes things softer, so I don't know if I'm actually doing it better or worse. Just go in here one more time. And this is not completely white, at least I don't think it would be completely white. But I hope you get my drift here. So this is how you draw a sphere, and it's good to practice this because I will say that after I normally do things backwards, but after I learned anatomy, which was very difficult, and I think it was because I didn't have prior knowledge of shapes and light and whatnot, but I will say that after doing a bunch of circles and shading them, it did help me understand more. It helped me understand how light shines on to objects, where to shade it, but I still struggle with that, and that's just because I feel like I just haven't practiced enough. But I would also recommend, and I'll do this kind of quickly, but I would also recommend doing multiple circles. Like, let's just use this as an example. So again, like, let's just say, actually scratch that. Pretend that the light is on this side now. And so in this segment, the light would be shining onto here. And then this is the surface, and then it's going to reflect back onto this direction. So here, and then it bounces back and then goes up onto this surface. So this is going to be, this one's a little bit more trickier because you have two of them. So I imagine that the shadow is gonna be very dark in this region right in between these two balls, and since this ball is behind, this is the only area that's probably not gonna have anything to really worry about. But see, the shadow is probably gonna be around here, and residual light is basically just a lighter form of the shadow. So I'm just gonna do that here, and then yeah, we're just gonna redo that again over here as well. So just gonna go over it a couple of times, and let's use a blending stick to try and redo that again. See, this is what I get when I am not being careful and I'm just being sloppy. So don't be sloppy like me. Be tactical. See, and I'm not really buying the fact that this is, but I'm gonna try to fix it. Well, you can always, obviously I'm being a little bit more messy here, but try not, of course I'm just being messy only because this is just a drawing video, but, or at least a drawing practice video, Draw With Me. And I hope that you're learning with me just as I am learning as I go here. But the whole point is it's important to learn how to draw circles and knowing how the light interacts with these circles. So do more of these. I wouldn't say do it on a daily basis because then it gets boring. I mean, unless you really love drawing circles, but I would just say try to practice these for like maybe a week or so. Maybe even, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a week, maybe a couple of days, maybe 2 days even. And just try and put circles in different places like this, and or make sure that they're behind one another like this. And maybe even add them. Maybe you could even make like a little circle cactus, but shade them in just as I have here with these circles. And I promise you that it's gonna enlighten you on how to see, you know, these shapes and how the light interacts, you know, and the shadows interact with these spheres. But there is another thing that you will learn too with this, and this is what I want you to take from this video as well, is to look at everyday objects and see where you can find circles in them. Like for example, like, well, sorry, this sharpener is not a good, not a good example. But you know, if like, I wish I had something to show you. Oh, actually I do. So right here with my mouse, you know, you have a circle that's right in the middle, which is the scroll here. And this is probably would be a good practice to try and draw this mouse, and then picture the complete circle in here. So the circle would come with inside here, and you can see that there's residual light right here at the bottom, and then it's a little bit darker on the top, and that's just because it's underneath the camera, so it's kind of dark. But just try to look and pick out the circles in everyday objects, even in, you know, people, you know, other, maybe even shapes like in apples or stuff like that, and try to imagine how you're gonna draw that object and how a circle would fit in that object, and you'll see that you're gonna find ways to draw that said object, or even person like this. You know, person's face, they do have a circle in them. Maybe it's not a perfect circle, so you know, I'll just highlight the circle again. So maybe it's not a perfect circle, but then you just keep adding on to those basic shapes. So that's why it's important to look at shapes. Yeah, just try to practice that. And if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions on what you want to see in other videos, just feel free to leave me a comment and let me know. I'm thinking about doing a basic video about anatomy and maybe cubes, because cubes are also important just as much as circles and whatnot. Even triangles, because and I'll show you here, but in this character, the triangle would probably be somewhere right here, and this would help you see that. And there's a sphere in his eye. There's also a sphere, of course, in his head. And there's spheres, triangles, squares, and a lot of everyday objects. So just let me know what you think, what you think I should do next, and we can go from there. So I believe that's all for this Draw With Me video, and I hope I see you all in the next one.